You know, I came out against it. I go, this is ridiculous. You're sexualizing minors. You're creating normalcy for pedophiles. Like, you know, you're normalizing that thought process. It's absolutely disgusting. I go all in on the issue. I'm attacking them. Blue check mark Twitter. You know, thought leaders on the left and Twitter are attacking me, trying to cancel me for being against pedophilia. I mean, think about it. I thought this was a 100% issue. Turns out I was wrong. It was 100% conservative and like 50-50 on the left. That's what we're up against, folks.
Joe Biden's party. The liberals and the Democrats today. So do you stand with them or do you stand with President Trump, who has the morality and the values and the resolve to do the right thing and to fight for children, to stop
This is a centuries-old problem, and Donald Trump is the first mainstream politician to permanently do something about it. Think about how insane that is.
And yet it is the mainstream press and the activist media that is trying to justify Netflix cuties. SB 145 in California, which, just so you understand, this is now signed into law by Gavin Newsom. This is Joe Biden's party, which normalizes and decriminalizes pedophilia, that allows judges the ability to say that if you are a pedophile, you do not have to be in the sex registry. That's law in California now. They are pandering to the pedophile lobby in California. That's what they want to bring here to Arizona. When Joe Biden's running those nice ads on TV where he looks like a moderate and all of that, you just look and you say, you're the party. We're just a couple hundred miles over the border. They're passing SB 145 in California. That's what they're trying to bring to this state and all across the country. And yet Gavin Newsom is allowed to do this without any sort of cross-examination at all whatsoever. And I'm telling you, everybody, you know where this is headed. And if you do not stop evil early, it will grow.
But the problem is, you also then can't identify. You as a parent, someone living in your community, now if someone doesn't have to register as a sex offender, you will have no idea who is down the street from you, who is working with you, who should not be around your children. This is something, as a former prosecutor, that we fought for, to register sex offenders, to identify them, to protect innocent victims. They are wiping the slate clean so you have zero information to protect yourself and your family, and that is unconscionable because that leads to further victimization because these people are sick, they can't stop doing what they're doing, they are repeat criminal recidivists. Around and around again, we've seen it. And now they're saying it's okay, we're gonna let that go because they're gonna protect their rights that they believe they are more important than the rights of children and people living in the communities around these pedophiles. It's disgusting.
Well, this is a pretty standard theme we've seen with the Democrats for the last few months, right? They're much more concerned about protecting arsonists, looters, vandals, criminals than they are store owners, police officers, right? You saw that. Kamala Harris was encouraging people to bail out criminals so they could go loot and riot again. Joe Biden's staffers were mobilizing bail funds to help the same people out. Now, they weren't doing anything for the David Dorns of the world. They weren't doing anything for law enforcement. They went after Rand Paul, telling him to say Breonna Taylor's name out loud, not realizing that Rand Paul is the guy that put forth the legislation with her name in it because they don't actually believe in this cause. Someone's giving them bullet points and telling them to go attack people. Is anyone asking Obama, who got a $100 million Netflix deal, about his thing with cuties? Because I think if Donald Trump was getting $100 million from Netflix, the media would have a problem with it. What about Susan Rice, who sits on the board of Netflix from Obama's cabinet? How come no one's asking her a question? What's her qualification to be on the board of Netflix, other than it's a payoff to the former Obama administration and these leftist people? How come no one's asking that question? Again, it's why I wrote Liberal Privilege, because these are questions that any journalist, if there were journalists left, should be asking, but they're not. They're not willing to do it. They're playing for one side and one side alone. And again, it's why we need you guys. There are people in this country, they're decent people. It's the vast majority. You just have to get through the filter of BS that they're being fed from the mainstream media on a daily basis. That's why we do need you guys mobilized and engaged that way.
And as I mentioned, Joe Biden and his outside groups are spending $1 million a day in this state. I mean, you cannot turn on TV or open up your computer without Joe Biden for president ads, because they're very worried. The industrial Midwest, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin is becoming increasingly conservative. They are losing control of the industrial industrial Midwest. So their game plan to try to shake things up is, well, Arizona is now in play for us because all of our, California communists have left California because we turned that into a wasteland. They come to Arizona, let's convince them to destroy Arizona too. And Arizona is a state that has strong values, that cares about families. And I can tell you, Arizona is not a state that should ever embrace BLM Incorporated, where, just to give you an idea of what they did in the last week, when 2 police officers were targeted for assassination in Compton, California. Immediately, there were videos being made of people that witnessed that attack, laughing and saying, I hope you die. Go look at the videos yourself. And then those police officers, no one went to help, by the way. Just so you know the video? No one came to help. The ambulance came, they're fighting for their life, they go to the hospital, they start hearing screams and chants as they're coming in and out of consciousness. You know what those screams and chants were from BLM Incorporated, the base of Joe Biden's party? We hope you die. We hope you die. BLM Inc., which funds the Democrat Party through Act Blue, mobilized their activists to the hospital and chanted as these police officers were fighting for their life, saying, we hope you die. That's who Joe Biden represents.
Can you imagine?
That's who Kamala Harris represents. And if you vote for Joe Biden, you are validating that in the state of Arizona. I cannot reinforce how important this is in this state. Because this state really will determine, in a lot of ways, the entire election.
Hey, the mainstream left, not fringe elements, members of Congress, people who are running, they're talking about what will happen if Joe Biden doesn't win. They're threatening that violence again. You think that giving them the win, you think that's going to make the problem go away, or you think it just enables these clowns to do this every time, again, that leftist woke goalpost moves to some further craziness, they have an excuse to burn down an entire city? Think about it. I don't want to enable that sort of behavior, but they're already threatening it as though, hey, we're going to burn down your business if you don't vote for us. You better vote for us. You should do it. I mean, imagine casting your vote for that kind of extortion. I mean, that's racketeering. Those are mafia tactics. And members of Congress are doing it on TV. And no one's questioning it. No one's asking, man, do you think that's not, perhaps, I don't know, grossly inappropriate? They're saying the quiet part out loud every day because they've been emboldened. The last 6 months has allowed the left to push their crazy agenda further than anything. You see the difference in the way that the blue states and the red states have handled it, right? Look at New York. It's the worst disaster in America, yet the mainstream media will say Andrew Cuomo's doing a great job. Even literally, he's number 1. Meaning, he's 50 out of 50. He's running around like he won the gold medal. I've never seen that. I mean, I know they believe in participation medals, but because he'll say mean things about Donald Trump. I mean, Andrew Cuomo signed an order to send old people that are sick back into nursing homes. The only thing we knew about COVID was that it affects the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. Those two things overlap a lot. He sent them back in. 10, 15,000 people died because of it. He's got more deaths because of that one executive order than any other state. Right? That's more than Florida, and yet Ron DeSantis apparently can do no right, even though he's done a better job without destroying their economies, without destroying their employment numbers, with an older population and a larger population. By the way, the death toll as it relates to the nursing home decision, one thing about it that's sort of interesting, if you got sick in a nursing home and then passed away in a hospital, it didn't count as a nursing home death. So that 11, 12,000 is probably closer to 20, okay? For one stupid decision to be woke. But that's our great leadership. And that guy gets the boosting, rather than those who did a much better job without also destroying our economies. And you see it. They talk about the economic numbers last week, right? And you see the media. Man. I don't know, man. These numbers they're pretty good. They're dejected. They're so upset that the economy, man, this is pretty good for Donald Trump. The fundamentals of this economy are strong. You see, they're going nuts, right? What they don't tell you, think about it. California is still basically on lockdown. New York, basically on lockdown. Michigan, all these leftist states, like a third of the states of the union, some of the biggest economic drivers of our country, are not even participating in the economy, and the numbers are still pretty good. Because Donald Trump built that. They won't talk about it. They won't talk about it, but Donald Trump does that. So even when they're good, imagine they want your business to fail. They don't care. We'll put you in a government program. You'll be a Democrat voter for life. They have no incentive to open up a business. They don't want you being independent. They don't want you not dependent on big government. If you're not dependent on big government, the Democrats don't offer you all that much. And they know it. That's why they don't care. That's why you see a difference in the response. I put up a tweet the other day. It was like the difference between, say, like Texas and Florida versus New York and California in terms of unemployment, in terms of there's not a single metric where the conservative states didn't outperform and, by the way, have less mortality. Because the Democrats don't care about that. They care about creating dependent people. This is that Marxist platform. Everyone will fail equally.
But it's worse than that. See, they're doing this purposely. This is why it is so sickening and it's so insidious. They actually are purposely keeping things shut down because they want to try to steal the presidency and prevent Donald Trump from being reelected. They don't care that they're hurting small businesses and families and communities and children who want to be able to go back to school. They'd rather shut the country down. They want to close the schools. They want to open the borders. They've got it all wrong. They're wrong on all the issues. Joe Biden's been wrong on every issue for 50 years. He has zero accomplishments, and he's been on the wrong side of every issue, including national security, right, Don?
That's Robert Gates, Obama's own Secretary of Defense. Think about this. Obama's own Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, said that Joe Biden has been on the wrong side of every decision for his entire political career. I mean, think about that. And the Democrats don't do that. They fall in line, right? They say whatever they need to say to boost their person. They don't come out. Imagine that. I mean, Joe Biden's the only person in America that didn't want to go get Osama bin Laden. Yeah, my friend Rob O'Neill shot him in the face. Luckily, someone had some sense to override Joe Biden on that one. But you know what the better part of that story? In documents that were discovered on that raid, they were recently declassified. So the raid happened about 10 years ago. They were recently declassified. There are correspondence between Osama bin Laden and some of his top henchmen saying they wanted to assassinate President Obama because that would put Joe Biden in charge, and that in and of itself would lead to the destruction of America because he's so grossly unqualified. Think about it. No, this is real. You know what I'm talking about. They recently declassified these documents 10 years after the raid. Think about it. The guy that Osama bin Laden wanted to be president, not in a good way, is now the Democrat nominee for president of the United States. I mean, I understand politics, Kelly Ward. You understand, endorsements are a big deal. I don't want the Osama bin Laden endorsement. And Joe Biden has it. Think of how insane that is.
We've got China's endorsement too. So that's these are the people that want Joe Biden to be president. Are they looking out for America's best interest? No, they're not. They're trying to fool you, and they're trying to put him in as a puppet to ruin this country and kill the American dream. And this county, and let me tell you, and this state of Arizona is literally going to be holding the front line to make sure that